SimCity Societies is a city building simulation game developed by Tilted Mill Entertainment and published by Electronic Arts, or as we know it today, EA. It is part of SimCity series, and we already covered SimCity 4 as part of those series, so be sure to check out that video too to learn more about this series and what it offers. It is different to what we are used to when it comes to SimCity games, as its gameplay is significantly different than its previous releases, with greater focus on social development and less on city building. So let's dive into the history of this wonderful game that, by the looks of it, based on my research, the internet has forgotten about. SimCity Societies was released back in 2007 and, as we mentioned, developed by Tilted Mill Entertainment and published by EA. They developed SimCity Societies instead of Magix, who developed SimCity 4 and at the time was busy with developing a game called Spore, which we will cover in future. It aimed to simplify the traditional SimCity formula, since creator Will Wright felt it was a bit too complex for casual users. Instead of familiar zoning, plumbing and power grid management SimCity, Societies introduced a new system based on social energies. Players manage 6 values, and those are productivity, prosperity, creativity, spirituality, authority, and knowledge. Those values add or consume value when you place them, and based on values of your city, you shape the city to turn out as you want, or do not want in this case if you have no idea what you are doing, but more on that in gameplay section. This new approach, while praised by some for its accessibility and creative freedom, was heavily criticized by many long-term SimCity fans who felt the game was oversimplified and lacked the deep simulation and city planning mechanics that defined the previous games of the series. Game received a lot of criticism back in the day for performance issues too, but I wouldn't know that as I was blessed with 0 issues at all. I just installed the game, launched it, and would you look at that, it worked with 0 issues, which again I am not sure how that happened, since usually old games have like 101 issues that follow them to run them on modern systems. There was also exactly one expansion pack created, SimCity Societies Destination, which released in 2008 and focused on tourism, which added features like resorts, theme parks, new transportation options, and a few new things around the map that player could use up to spice up their cities. So let's dive into the meat of the video. What and how did the gameplay change exactly? SimCity Societies has a different style of gameplay compared to previous SimCity titles, as we mentioned, less focus on planning the city and more focus on social engineering. The complexity was removed from the game. One simple change they did is they removed the need to lay down pipes and power grids for power and water to travel around the map. Now you can place power generating buildings anywhere, and it just adds up to the total value of available power you have at your disposal. Then the ability to fund those buildings individually. The whole building evolution we touched on SimCity 4 video, as well as zoning, was not present in this game. The advisors that were always mad at some minor inconvenience? Gone, reduced to atoms too, which was replaced with a city status instead that indicated the player behavior of the citizens, with each building having an effect on citizen behavior. But there is also a positive to this, kind of. The awards were added that players who reached them got access to new buildings, which also let them expand their city further rather than having mostly everything unlocked from the start, which made for a fun element added to the non-free play mode, where even though not as in previous game your town grew, your options did too with it, but under your control what goes exactly where. There are 6 new societal values featured in SimCity Societies, which determine attributes of the city. As we mentioned, those are productivity, prosperity, creativity, spirituality, authority, and knowledge. Focusing on a certain value can change the visual appearance of the city, for good or bad. For instance, the authority value can result in security cameras appearing on buildings. As an example, while building a romantic city would tank your finances but turn the roads pink. Other examples? You might need to experiment yourselves as to not spoil the outcomes, but be warned. The way of obtaining this game requires a bit of sailing of the 7 digital seas. Man, I do sound like AI, but trust me, I am not. Or am I? Who the heck knows? Anyways, identity crisis over, but yeah, information regarding this game for the video was a bit pain in the lower end to find, and you will see if you try to find the game to purchase it that it is not available on EA app or Origin or whatever EA calls their game launcher today. Because in some weird infinite wisdom of EA, they decided to not show the game on store unless you really look for it, as the user Shiny Umbreon 465 on Reddit replied when someone was asking if the game can be still purchased. And as I was researching where I can get a legit copy of the game. But yeah, apart from that, the landscaping features were also removed and you are playing on a map that is randomly generated with not much control how it generates apart from a few places from destination DLCs that you can check. Unfortunately, up to 3 that can spawn per map or just leave random ones to be picked. On top of that, the game is fully customizable and allows the player to customize individual buildings, decorations, citizens, and game rules, which I won't be able to show you apart from renaming the buildings as per the developer's words. The game is easily customizable, but only to those who are proficient in C# and XML, which in this situation and my luck, I am not. It was also announced that the online exchange would be provided to allow for exchange of buildings, but this is a single piece of information I have no way to verify, but I feel it needed to be included regardless as it is part of the game's history, hopefully after all. I mean, hey, plot time or not, again. You might be wondering why. What happened to the plot? And to that I say, simulation game, my friend, simulation game. You are your own storyteller and maker when it comes to simulation games, and unless there is some side piece lore you can find on it, 9 out of 10 times developers rarely added any lore apart from some tidbits that you discover during gameplay to maybe some other games or internal Easter eggs, but apart from that, do not connect to any deeper story, as after all it is a simulation game. Pronto. Actually, period. Pronto ain't the way to end the sentence, unless you are rushing someone. The more you know. Now, the reception of SimCity Societies. As you might have guessed by some past hints, like me having trouble locating the copy or information about this game, it was not the best to say. The PC version received mixed reviews according to the review aggregation website Metacritic, while GameZone praised the game increased accessibility and less sterile gameplay compared to its previous titles in SimCity series. And Game Informer concluded that the changes to the gameplay were inventive, I guess. Then we have OneUp.com, which compared the PC version to the Sim series and described the gameplay as addictive enough and having the pervasive sensation that your city is a single entity with features such as awards to keep players interested instead of region hopping when you mess up the city as in SimCity 4. But there is also a bad side, where computer performance, at that time when PCs were basically glorified heaters, was not the best, and lack of information within game was also criticized, which I faced actually on my own gameplay, where the tooltip said that I can change the map overlay to special view to see my special citizens, but I still, even long after this video, have not discovered where exactly can I do that. An arrow would be useful, but giving suggestions on improvement to a basically non-existent game on the internet is good as trying to pick up a broken glass table and put it back together. You might try, but nothing will change, it will still be broken. Then, GamePro described that PC version was excessively simplified and exponentially easy, but in the end, the review concluded that the developers tried to take the franchise in a better direction, but they ultimately failed and got lost along the way. The favorite part of the video, conclusion. So should you buy seek out copy of SimCity Societies to play and experiment on, maybe even have fun? Absolutely, it's an invaluable piece of history, which I am unsure of why it is not available publicly via EA or even a GOG, which usually has all the games, well, all the old games I seek out. Even when it is rough around the edges, hard to get, the game still has those addictive elements that are gonna make you play for longer rather than quick jump in and out of it. Especially if you are an achievement hunter or own goal setter and, for example, would like to build a team cities and experiment. With all of that said, it's time to part ways. Did you play the SimCity Societies and its DLC destinations? If so, leave a comment down below about your favorite feature from it, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, you know what to do. Leave a like and subscribe, that would be appreciated, and see you in the next video. Stay awesome.
Nubly flirts, Warshnug. Blort. Avenvuesa.
Ninta. Mala Paul.
Guardi Afra, Guscavoni, Neely, Horton, Guscavoni, Avenvuesa, Zabasal Suma, Furkiner, Nubly Flirts, Warshnu,
Zalo. Zwehe.
Blort. Nubly Flirts, Warshnu. Nubly flirts, Warshnu. Nubly flirts, Warshnu. Kashuti. Nubly flirts, Warshnu. Nubly flirts, Warshnu. Nubly flirts, Warshnu. Guardi Afra, Woody Emor Steely, Hordmine. Kashuti.
Zwehe.
Nerb.
Kaşıklı, what eat more steely, Horgmarny.
Nubly flirts. Warshnuk.
Zalo.
Nubly flirts. Warshnuk.
Nargla, Degardi Afra, what eat more steely, Horgmarny. Savasat Shuna, Furky
Nerb.